Hi out there. Let's do something a little bit different. It's kind of sad to see a good toy line end up on the clearance shelf. So when I saw that these two Magic the Gathering figures had been marked down to almost half their original price, I was kind of upset, because these are really cool figures. Now, I never was one who was into Magic the Gathering. I tried to play the game back when I was in college, but the combat system was a little bit too confusing for me, and the whole mana tapping got really frustrating, so I never really played it. But, I thought that the cards looked nice, and the flavor text is always entertaining. So when I found out that they made a Magic the Gathering action figure line, I thought that was pretty cool. But now they're on the clearance rack, meaning that the line wasn't very successful. So why don't we get these out of the packaging and see if they and see why they didn't get to live up to expectations. Okay, so let's start with Liliana Vess. I had to look up a Magic the Gathering wiki to get her backstory. She's a planeswalker and necromancer. She's also an enchantress and is over a century old. Apparently she made a deal with some demon lord to retain her youth and beauty. So let's get a look at her sculpt and paint job. Let's get nice and in there. Here we go. Perhaps the most obvious thing about her character design is the intricate tattoos which are done all over her skin. That's actually really intricate. You can see every little swirl, and all these paint apps are nice and sharp. There's no fuzziness or breaks. Come on, can't you focus on her face? There's no fuzziness or breaks, and all these lines look nice and sharp. And there's nothing on her back. I guess they figured they shouldn't bother to paint there because of her hair. Although they do still have the pattern on the back of her armor. That's a nice touch. In addition to that, to the detail work put into the paint job on her skin, her outfit also looks really great. She has all these draped pieces of fabric with gold and indigo inlays all over it, and it all looks really good. There's she has like an armor bit here on her thigh, and they even made her boots asymmetrical. If I scoot her dress over to the side, you can see the way the armor is on her left leg is different from her right leg. I don't know, like she has a thigh-high boot here, but barely a knee-high boot there. I don't know if the asymmetrical design is significant to her powers, or if this thrown together hodgepodge look is just something that is chic in the Magic the Gathering universe. Because again, I didn't even know that there was an expanded fiction for Magic the Gathering. So, when I first saw pictures of this online and then saw it in the store shelves, I thought that this intricate costume would limit her posability. And because of the limited posability, they might not even have bothered to give her meaningful articulation. But when I got her out, I found that all these costume elements are done in a really soft rubber kind of plastic that's, as you can see, is really good at getting out of the way. Yeah, like they use the appropriate materials for the appropriate parts. She can't really look up because even though it's soft, her hair kind of covers her entire back. But because of the flexibility of her hair, she can totally look off to the side, and it doesn't impinge on her shoulders in any way. And she can look down. She has a torso. She has an ab crunch, so she can arch her back. She can actually arch her back quite a bit. She can look so far down her nose at you that she ends up looking up. Anyone who's a One Piece fan probably gets that reference. And look, they even continue the paint job up her stomach so that it wouldn't break the lines when you pose her with her back arched. That's kind of cool. There's there's no waist joint, but her legs have really good clearance. There's like a universal joint here in her thigh, and she has a thigh swivel, and she has double jointed knees. That's a lot of range. That's more range than most figures have, even when they don't have skirts on. And her foot, it has like a ball-like thing going on, so it has a up and down movement. It can tilt the ankles. She also has good range in her arms. There's a universal shoulder joint. And the pieces of fabric that go around her back, they don't limit her too much, because they have enough slack and are flexible enough. She has an elbow joint and a bicep swivel, and this is on both arms. And again, even that big piece of fabric on her shoulder doesn't do anything to limit the articulation of her arm. And she has wrist swivels and wrist hinges. So very, very great, meaningful articulation that leads to a lot of posability for this figure. It's really great. Okay, so let's move on to the other one. And here is Chandra. She's another planeswalker who uses, red magic, which in the Magic the Gathering universe is all fire. So, there was one little derp in this figure, in that this leg here kind of goes out at a weird angle. I think when they packaged her in the plant, they twisted her leg the wrong way, and it made the joint in her knee buckle a bit. But aside from that, it still looks really great. She was also coated in some kind of slimy, oily substance when I first got her out of the packaging. And I don't know what that was for. It was either lubricant for the joints, something to prevent her from sticking to the internal packaging, or I don't know, maybe just some paint sealant that failed to dry. But once I wiped that slime off of her, she was a really great figure. And again, the sculpt work is immaculate on this thing. She's wearing this chainmail armor, which along with some plate armor on like her shoulders and around her breastplate there. She has like hoses that go around her body, giving her this cool looking steampunk look. Like if that's not a steampunk gauntlet, I don't know what is. And again, the asymmetrical theme continues with this one knee pad. And although both the boots are the same height this time, I'm not sure what the asymmetrical thing is all about. I guess it just looks cool. She has this really cool face sculpt. Her hair is very vibrant. It truly does look like fire on top of there. And her eyes are this pupilless orange. She really looks like she's in the act of casting a spell. I read on that Magic the Gathering wiki that she has an incredibly tragic backstory. Like, she grew up in a village where fire magic was against the law, and they tried to force her into a marriage to calm down her rebellious spirit. And she cast a fire spell to get away from the marriage. But then the authorities thought that there was a rebel faction there that was using fire magic because they didn't believe that a single person could use that much firepower at once. So they slaughtered the entire population of her village. So all of her family and acquaintances were killed, and she tried to she fought back until they all died, and then she was I don't know, they were going to execute her for using fire magic, but then something happened. I don't know. That's, again, not familiar with the backstory, but her story is really tragic. Yeah, like, let's get into this figure's articulation. She doesn't have big hair going down her back, so she's much better at looking up. Although now she can't really look down because the collar of her chainmail kind of prevents her chin from going down. Huh, that's weird. But yeah, it's a ball joint in there, so she has full range. Very good. She also has torso articulation and universal shoulders. And again, The armor is made out of a softer material so that it flexes and bends out of the way without impeding her shoulder movement. There's a bicep swivel, single joints at the elbow, which could stand to have a little more range, not too bad. This elbow's more range because of the sculpt of her shirt. Again, there's a wrist swivel and the wrist hinge. No waist joint, but very good thigh movement. It's a little bit more limited by her skirt, which goes all the way around, but the skirt's made out of a flexible enough material that it can bend and get out of the way, so it's not like her leg movement feels too restricted. She has double jointed knees and the same ankles that combine a ball joint and a hinge for great range. Again, the only flaw being that my particular one has a weirdly twisted leg. See, it should be like this, but instead it's like this. See? I can probably fix that with a hairdryer and some bracers. But, you know, for a figure that's on clearance, this is really good. This is easily on par with any kind of any Marvel Universe figure or the DCUC line. I mean, these are really great. What's the company that made these? Funko. Yeah, I mean, these are fantastic figures. Now, unlike Liliana, Chandra actually comes with an accessory. It's this simple little fireball. Let me get Chandra out of the way. Come on, you can do it. You can do it, camera. There you go. Yeah, it's made out of rubber material, very flexible. But yeah, it does a good job of looking like fire. It's very well painted, yellow at the bottom, tapering to a lighter orange at the top, and you know, it's a very convincing little fire effect. Her hand is sculpted so that you can just plop that thing right in there. So, and it balances. Come on. There we go. Yeah, and now you have Chandra holding a fireball. Matches her hair. Yeah, it's such a simple little accessory, but it kind of works. I choose to put it in that hand because it's the one that has the steampunk hose. Like, I like to think that hose is facilitating the movement of air to keep that fire burning. Although I'm not sure of how steampunk works in the Magic the Gathering universe. It's a shame to see a really good quality toy line like this end up on the clearance rack. I really feel like this line deserved better, and that we could have seen more in the future. Maybe some monsters that even I recognize from my short time playing it, like perhaps the mirrors. I tried to run a mirror deck, but again, the combat system and the mana tapping was just too much of a headache for me. But yeah, these are really great toys. I'm kind of conflicted because if they didn't end up on clearance, I probably wouldn't have bought them because I'm not such a huge fan of the series. But knowing that they're gonna go away soon, it's kind of sad because this line had so much potential. If you happen to find any of these on the clearance racks at Toys R Us or Barnes & Noble, I would recommend picking them up because they actually are really good. Show the line a little bit of love before we see it disappear forever. This is Wakeangel2K1 signing off.